I've been covering my sister's house payments, apartment rent, and even wiped out her debts. But at the family dinner I funded, she smirked and told our parents, "This loser will never raise kids like mine." She laughed, our parents chuckled, and I quietly explained why I'd stopped supporting her. Now she's unraveling. Have you ever sat surrounded by people you've poured your heart and soul into, only to realize they were mocking your pain? That's exactly how I felt that evening. My younger sister, Laura, was always the favored child, a status that clung to her long after childhood faded and adult life started breaking people down. I chased a degree, built a company from nothing, married my wife, Anna, and we were blessed with 2 incredible kids. Laura, however, married Tom, a walking punchline to a sad story. Tom hasn't kept a job in years, drinks by noon, and puts on a fake charm around my parents, like a washed-up game show host. Laura always defends him, insisting he's trying. But the only thing he's consistent at is burning through every dollar I give them. And I gave them plenty. I covered their rent for over a year, paid off 3 of Laura's maxed-out credit cards, and bought school supplies for their kids multiple times. When they nearly lost their house, I paid their mortgage for 2 months. I even gave them new smartphones last Christmas, while mine were outdated, thinking they needed them more. Anna rarely spoke up, but I could see it weighed on her. She warned me more than once. "Mark, this isn't generosity anymore, it's enabling. She's not your burden, she's your sister, and she's married. If you don't see that, you'll pay the price." I brushed it off. Anna grew up in a small family, and I thought she just didn't get it. Or maybe I didn't want to admit she was right. Then came that dinner. My parents wanted a family gathering, and I offered to cover it as usual. I paid for everything, the food, the decor, even Laura's gas because she was short that month. She showed up 45 minutes late, flaunting a designer purse, acting like a queen gracing commoners. Tom trailed behind, already half drunk. As the drinks flowed, their voices grew louder. Tom bragged about how their kids were top students. Laura chimed in, boasting about raising children who'd make something of themselves, unlike others. I let it slide at first. I was used to ignoring their jabs. But then Laura locked eyes with me, wine glass in hand, grinning like she'd planned this moment. "That loser will never have kids like mine," she said, laughing. Tom laughed. My parents laughed. The sound buzzed in my head like static. I looked at Anna. She didn't say a word. She just pushed her chair back and stood. That's when it hit me. I stood too, met Laura's gaze, and said calmly, "I'm done. No more house payments, no rent, no bills, no gifts, nothing." She squinted, confused, then laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. I walked out. Anna and the kids followed. No yelling, no drama, just silence behind us. I thought that was the end, but it was only the start. 2 days later, my parents called, upset about my outburst. Laura had spun a tale, claiming I'd screamed at her in front of the kids and ruined the night. Then things escalated. Laura showed up at my office unannounced. I was reviewing a deal when the receptionist buzzed. "There's a Laura here. She says she's your sister." I froze. She'd never come to my workplace before, never even asked for the address. I hadn't told her about the new office after our expansion. "Is she alone?" I asked. "No, there's a man with her." Of course. Laura and Tom strolled in like it was a friendly visit, holding coffee cups, dressed like they were playing respectable. Laura wore heels no budget could justify. Tom sported a leather jacket he'd bragged about snagging online. Vintage designer, he'd called it. I led them to a meeting room. No seats, no drinks, just silence. Laura launched into a rehearsed apology. "I'm sorry for what I said at dinner. It was a bad joke." As if calling me a loser in front of our family was just a slip of the tongue. Tom stood behind her, nodding like a poorly cast extra. Then Laura slid a paper across the table. Luminous Craft, her new venture. Handmade soaps, home accents, custom scents. She said she was starting over and needed a small investment. I stayed silent, just stared. She took my silence for indecision. "It's not a handout, Mark. You'd be a partner." I said, "No." She blinked, then laughed. I repeated, "No." Tom stepped forward. "You owe us." "After all we've done for this family, it's the least you can do." I asked. "What have you ever done for this family?" He snapped. "We kept things together when your parents couldn't." I told them to leave. Laura started yelling, actually yelling in my office. Tom slammed his hand on the table, got in my face, called me a greedy jerk, and accused Honor of orchestrating it because she always despised them. I walked out and called security. They were gone in minutes. I thought that was it. It wasn't. The next morning, my dad called, shaken. There'd been a problem. Tom had tried to break into their shed at 2 a.m., claiming he'd left tools there. He didn't knock, didn't call, just tried to force the lock. A neighbor spotted him and called the cops. Later, my dad found a bag stashed in the shed, stuffed with whiskey bottles, loose cash, my mom's jewelry, and old business papers of mine I thought I'd destroyed years ago. That night, I dug deeper. I checked old accounts and found a failed login attempt to an inactive company account from my parents' IP address 2 weeks earlier. It wasn't random. I hired a cybersecurity specialist. Within hours, we learned Laura and Tom had tried to open a $50,000 credit line in my name using my social security number and old records. The application was for Luminous Craft. It failed only because they couldn't verify my employment since I own the business. Then came the madness. 3 days later, Anna called me, frantic. A stranger was photographing our house, claiming it was listed for sale. He showed her a printed ad with our address and a fake contact number. I filed a police report and hired a private investigator. The listing traced back to a burner phone bought by Tom under his real name. I showed Anna everything, the fraud attempt, the stolen papers, the fake listing. She asked the only question that mattered, "What are you going to do about it?" I didn't sleep that night. Part of me wanted to cut them off, change the locks, and move on. Anna disagreed. "Mark, you've avoided this for years. They used you. They mocked you. They stole from you. They tried to sell our home. What's next?" I asked what she meant. "Crush them," she said, her voice like ice. And we did. We reported everything. Laura's welfare fraud, claiming single-parent status while living with Tom. Tom's prior DUIs, their forged documents. The IRS, police, and social services opened investigations. Within weeks, their accounts were frozen. Laura's business collapsed. Tom was arrested after showing up drunk at our house with a knife. Then Laura sued me for emotional distress. The case was a joke. Her lawyer dropped her fast. Months passed. Laura ended up working at a convenience store. Tom disappeared. Their kids were pulled from school. Then one day, Laura showed up at our backyard during a cookout. She looked shattered. "I've lost everything," she said. "You were right. I'm sorry." She asked if I'd ever let her back into my life, not for money, just to not be strangers. I told her I needed time. As she left, I felt nothing but weariness. Now I'm left questioning, did I do the right thing? Or have I become someone I no longer know? Please share your thoughts. And if this story moved you, give it a like, share it with others, and follow for more real-life stories and heartfelt experiences. Your support means everything and helps us share more stories like this. Thank you for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.